It was a Wednesday, and the day of Tyagaraja, the most glorious deity. Rad and Govinda had finished their prayers and a morning walk. Returning back, Rad asked Govinda, Tyagaraja is the best day to ask this, so I am going to ask you. Tell me, in an extremely concise but extremely easy to understand form, everything I need to know about life. Give me the user manual of life in its entirety, so that there should be nothing else I should ever need to know ever again in my life. Govinda said, Sure, sweetheart. There can't be a better day you could have asked this. The name Tyagaraja is the user manual of life. If you do Tyaga, you immediately become a Raja. And how do you do Tyaga is what I'm going to explain to you fully. Yugapad Bhoga Moksha Pradam. All enjoyment and all liberation can be achieved immediately and directly, right here, right now, no delay. And then he went on to explain in detail what is written henceforth is, in his own words, the Rasa Vidya. Sweetheart, the entire world you see around you is a dream. It's your creation, born today, morning when you woke up. It will be destroyed tonight when you go to sleep. Then another dream world will be created and destroyed, which you call a dream. Tomorrow morning, yet another world will be created, which you call wake. It might be similar to today's world, but don't be fooled, it's new. Every world has several characters, and for some reason, you identify yourself as just one character. But all characters are yours, as you have created all of them. Your energy that creates, operates, and destroys each dream is called divine will or God, Ishvara. You are in reality the self or Atma or Jiva and are the very form of bliss itself. You are complete in yourself. Proof of this is deep dreamless sleep, where wake and dream worlds are destroyed, and you are just your blissful self in all purity. You feel a desire to express this bliss in many forms. This is called desire, D. You feel that if you temporarily step out of this bliss, feel misery, and then return back to this bliss, then that joy will be felt even more intensely. This is called identity I. To execute these two feelings, you create from yourself God. At the end of the day, when the mission is achieved, God merges back into you and you go to deep sleep. Since only a female human can create another human out of herself, the Atma is female. Since only a male can penetrate and enter a female, God is male. Self and God may be different in functionality, but they are the same. Just like a pot made of a lump of clay and the remaining unused clay are both clay. Thus, there is a connection of sameness, a binding between you and God. That binding is what we call love. This is nothing but possession. We only love things because of possession. You love your car. There are thousands of cars in the same color, same model all across the world. Yet you like only one because you possess that one. There is no love without possession, without that binding of sameness. How does God execute your two feelings of desire and identity? First, these two feelings are impulses, in that the moment you created God to execute them, you let go of the feelings. They don't exist anymore. God then creates the dream world called Jagat, which is basically a field for you and God to play. Here, God becomes a female, as only a female can create something out of herself, and God created the world. Self becomes her son, a male, because she holds the complete truth while you hold the partial truth. And by understanding it, you merge into her, just as a wave of ocean merges into the ocean. Since only a male can penetrate and merge into a female, the Atma is male. Thus, in different contexts, both Atma and God are both male and female, each gender having the causal basis as explained above. Thus, everybody is a male, and everybody is a female at the mind level, irrespective of biological anatomy. Now, what happens is God, she perverts the truth. She makes you think the world is real. Because of that, your desire, which was until now revolving around the truth called bliss, now revolves around the lie called worldly things. This is what we call Maya. Your identity, which was as creator of God and the self, complete in itself, is now perverted, where you limit yourself to just one character in the dream. Because of these two perversions, there is misery. What is the aim of life? If you say understanding of truth, you are wrong. This is where all religions have gone wrong. Remember, Atma wanted to express bliss and feel it intensely. It was God who perverted the truth, and restoring that is God's aim, not yours. Neither does your aim stop with understanding truth, because you wanted bliss after the truth restoration, not the truth itself. The only thing you created of your own to express bliss is God and not the world. It was God that created the world, not you. Your aim is simply to express intense bliss with God. This, in other words, is love. The sole aim of life is intense, eternal, blissful love alone with God. In what timeline must you achieve the aim of your life? Most religions and spirituality believe in a process called spiritual path, where you cross several stages and achieve the objective. They are all wrong completely. Remember, this creation story I just told, happened today morning, and you are dying today night. Who has the time for spiritual path that takes years? The aim of life has to be fulfilled right here, right now. There is no tomorrow. Remember very clearly. Rasa Vidya is that extremely simple wisdom of very basic points that tells you how to live here and now, achieving fully today itself the aim of your life, which is intense, blissful love. We understand it in four parts: dictum, relations, operations, and interactions. Let's look at each in detail. Rasa, the word, means iru asai. Iru meaning two, namely self and God. Asai meaning the love between you and me. Thus, Raja in Sanskrit is a corruption of the original Tamil word called Rasa. One who masters Rasa is obviously a king, an emperor, a Raja, Tyagaraja. Thus, Rasavidya is also Rajavidya, the king of knowledge, the only knowledge of truth. Now we start with the dictum. There is only one dictum. Atma feels, God does. This is the sole dictum of Rasa. God created the world and He has total command over it, not you. Proof? You can't even predict correctly what will happen in the next 2 hours simply because you don't do anything. You can't do anything. Every small action that happens, even those actions by your own body and mind, are all His. However, the end aim of everything is love and bliss, and it is Atma that's going to feel that bliss. Because God was created from Atma, God inherits feelings as well. Nevertheless, the only action Atma does, independent of God, is to feel. Through this dictum, you achieve surrender. You don't take ownership of actions, they aren't yours. You do, however, take ownership of what you feel. Part 2: Relations. When there is world, there is thought of world. When there is no world, there is no such thought. In initial configuration, when you are a female mother and God is a male child, there are no thoughts. This mode is called Nirakara or N. In the later configuration, when God is the female mother and you are the son, that happens in the real with thoughts. This mode is called Sakara or S. Based on this, there are four permutations that are possible to develop love with God. They can be viewed as four relationships, namely Magan, Annan, Annai, and Tangai, or son, elder brother, mother, and younger sister. In each configuration, a different dynamic exists between you and God or Jiva Ishvara, a different way of looking at the world or Jiva Jagat, and a different net outcome or palam. We explore these four. But remember, in actual practice, none of the wisdom given here matters, as in you don't have to remember the dynamic and enact it. It is naturally emergent and follows automatically simply when you maintain this love relationship with God. All of dharma or righteousness, correct perception, requirements of love or amnayas are all emergent simply from these four modes. Also, each relationship has a role name as well, which we will cover too. The first relationship, Magan, Jiva Ishvara. Here, you are the mother and God is your son. He is a helpless child. Looking at it this way, immediately all your motherly tendencies and instincts flow. Vatsalyam. You want to fondle him, play with him, spend time with him. Configuration, you have to take care of him all day. You don't have time to think of anything. You are the Nirakara. He is too young and innocent to think of the world. He is a Nirakara too. This is NN love. Jiva Jagat, by yourself, you only look at him, not the world. Your child goes to the garden, to the street. He plucks a very common wildflower, brings it back to you, enjoying it in amazement. What do? You know very well it's a common wildflower, but you enjoy it. Not because of the flower, but because of him. You see him in the flower. You see his interest in it. And because of him, you also see the uniqueness in this flower that is not there in other flowers. That is what happens. You perceive everything in the world, every person as God, while also respecting the individual roles and uniqueness in each person. Palam, love develops. Life becomes blissful. Boredom is averted as he never ceases to entertain you. You also develop compassion and love towards the outside world. The name of this relationship is Bala, meaning the innocence of childhood. You are Radha, or in other words known as Christ. God is Krishna. Relationship 2, Annan. Jiva Ishvara, you are a reasonably grown boy, perhaps teen. God is your elder brother. You are full of desires and ideas in the world, full of energy, and want to do lots of good, productive things. Your brother is supportive of everything you do. He's got your back. He's strong. He'll protect you from any problem if they happen. He wants you to do everything bravely, enjoy life to its fullest, bring all your potential to result without hesitation. Your success is his success. Configuration, you are full of thoughts and ideas, and thus obviously Sakara. He, on the other hand, is supportive of everything you do. He doesn't have thoughts and ideas of his own, except to support you fully. This is, he is in Nirakara. This is SN love. Jiva Jagat, whatever worldly activities you desire and plan for, with resources being available, you get to start working. When you do so, you do without a worry, as everything is taken care and protected by Him. You might think, oh, so I can do anything and everything without a thought? Doesn't this sound hedonistic and dangerously unrighteous? Here you must understand that all actions are done by God only anyway, and He doesn't do any mistake. Only as long as it is a feeling, a desire, it belongs to Atma. The moment it has started as a physical action, it is already His. So you don't need to worry, fret, or be guilty about whatever you are doing. In that way, your mind is free for the next desires, the next impulses, the next achievements. You look at the entire world as your work table. Palam of this is you work without a worry. So when you work without a worry, your mind can focus fully on the action done. And productivity reaches maximum without impedance, resulting in accomplishment and self satisfaction, which is basically the salary you have got for a job done. This is the biggest salary the world can give you because satisfaction is bliss itself. Nevertheless, Physical sustenance will also be taken care of in this because he is supporting your action and he is the provider of everything. Name of this relationship Sundari, slightly older form of an adolescent, full of energy and dreams, enjoying the beauty of all facets of life without restraining. Also, it is called Taruni or instant, as actions are driven by impulses without having to worry about the afterthought and overthinking. Atma is Ganesha and God is Muruga here. The third relationship, Annai. Jiva Ishvara, here you maintain your identity as a reasonably grown teen or early teen. God is your mother. Every moment you observe something or the other in the world, hence you are full of desires and wishes, desires to do things, desires for things to happen to you. Your mother is full of love. She also has lots of desires for her child, lots of wonderful and amazing plans to make your life amazing. Configuration, you are full of desires and ideas, hence Sakara. She is also full of plans and thoughts for you, hence Sakara. Both are in Sakara. This is SS love. Jiva Jagat. She wants to encourage her child in every way possible. She wants to fulfill your dreams and does so, as she is the one providing and performing everything. At the same time, she cherishes you and herself has lots of desires on how to make you happy and blissful. All such desires she executes as well. When both your desires converge, it is festival time. She surprises you with miracles and things you got without expecting, as she was planning on it anyway. When your desires don't match, then always her desires win because she is in full knowledge all the time of everything in the world and reality as well. She is usually a very supportive mother, and the only time desires don't match are if your desires lead to hurting yourself without your knowledge. Hurting yourself means going far away from truth, asatya, or going far away from love, ahimsa, going far away from bliss, which means negative emotions such as lust, anger, and greed. Thoughts that lead to these are automatically rejected by her, thus ensuring righteousness. You look at the world as her itself, as something interacting by feeding you desires and also teaching you information. Palam of this relationship, every time you and she have a thought, it becomes a learning experience. Either why the thought is correct because it has fulfilled successfully, or why the thought is wrong because she didn't allow it. What is correct today may not be correct later on. Every day, every situation is new and is a learning either way. Information has no limits. The name of this relationship is Jeshta, meaning the elder, as she is the mother guiding you. You are the infant Shiva or Ganeshwara, and God is Tara, also known as Saraswati. Relationship number 4, Tangai. Jiva Ishvara, you are an older female, probably old enough to be aged and of reduced activity capabilities. God is your younger sister, full of capabilities, energy, full of ideas, responsibilities. She cherishes you, her elder sister, and takes care of you as you are her life. You are her greatest wealth. Configuration, you are too old and inactive to think of the world. You only think of your sister. She is all capable. She doesn't need any physical help from you except for love, appreciation for what she is doing, moral and emotional support, which are the only things you do. Hence, you are a Nirakara. She is full of ideas, worldly, full of dreams and energy, and it is a Sakara. This is NS love, Jiva Jagat. Focused fully on your sister, you have no thoughts about the world, nothing to accept, nothing to reject. You just blankly keep watching the world as if it were a movie. She, on the other hand, does everything, full of dreams. She runs the movie you're watching and constantly finds ways to please you, entertain you, make you feel happy, loved, and taken care of. Palam of this relationship, when you relax and chill out, watching everything and supporting your sister, she keeps working and doing everything she loves. Nothing she does ever fails. And so she achieves everything. Having achieved it, she dedicates it to you because she is going to come back to you. Basically, She puts the whole world under your feet, giving you enormous power and position, simply as a gratitude of the love you shower on her. Here, we need to understand power in its real core is nothing but pampering. A person in power is taken care of, pampered, and served by other people attending on him. And that is what she does here in a different way. Would you help somebody who is self sufficient or somebody who is in desperate need? When you make yourself helpless, she pampers and entertains you, thoughtfully giving things that you love. Name of this relationship is Para, as she is the almighty, all capable one, and also Sri Devi, the one that keeps on yielding the highest. Atma is Neela, also known as Adya Shakti Kalaratri, and God is Mahalakshmi, also known as Durga. Now, irrespective of what form the love takes, the end result is always the same. You are my brother, I am your mother. You are my sister, I am your son. All these are only as valid as their purpose or palam is served. Then these statements simply dissolve into I am yours and you are mine. That is possession at its purest, the final bliss or climax of love called Bindu. So, when we refer here to love in Rasa Vidya, we mean this love, reaching all the way to its final climax. At this juncture, a very important concept must be understood: money. This is one desire that literally makes people run like crazy. But here's the point: why do you need money? Common answers you would give are to start and run a family, to live in a nice house, to travel and enjoy, or to repay debts and loans. Let's go over these briefly. Generally, if you already have the money and resources and desire to do something with it, it is Sundari. If you desire for money outside your current availability, that is Jeshta. And this is the type most people are caught with. None of these are desires for actual money, but desires to give you correct wisdom. Money for marriage? The wisdom here is that you are seeking love from a same aged human. Knowledge is that real love comes only from God and Atma at the causal level. That too in an owner owned relationship alone. Money for buying a bigger house? At night, when you are in dream or deep sleep, do you even know whether you are sleeping on a velvet foam mattress or on the roadside platform? Money for traveling. At the end, what remains? Happy memories of places visited. They are all in the mind, just as astral travel is as well. So, why not do it astrally? Money to repay loans. The ignorance here is that somehow you owe money to somebody and you owe your existence to that person. Truth is, God is the one sustaining your entire life. And do you really think that if a person truly surrenders to God, he will starve and live homeless? Why worry about your sustenance and safety when God is there? And beyond all this, let us say you desire for money and you do get it eventually. Then what? Which gives more happiness? Something that you want to do now or something you desired 10 years back when you didn't have the money? Answer is obviously something that desires you now, provided the resources to do that is within your disposal. Otherwise, it is the same story as just explained. Desires leading you to knowledge, that is Jeshta. Thus, the real purpose and happiness of money lies in living for your impulses, doing what you want to do right now with resources available. That is Sundari, Taruni, the impulsive soliton. The end result of that is self satisfaction, the feeling that you did something that you loved and got success in it. This accomplishment is called Siddhi, and that is the real meaning of wealth, Siddhi. Also, another important thing should be understood. These four relations doesn't require you to keep changing your perspective of God every few minutes. Have one Ishtadevata form and maintain it. You don't need to change the name, you address it. Just maintain whatever pet name you always had, like Amma or Chinnu or Kanna, whatever it is. These relations are straight from the heart, they are bhavas. They can't be initiated with words or thoughts or name calling, and doing so will make you focus only on the names and polemics, but not the actual love itself. Furthermore, you don't even need to develop this love fresh. Understand here that even developing love is ultimately an action, And like all other actions, it is done by God, not you, the self. All your life, in different situations, these things have automatically happened on their own. Remember a time when you were in some distress, prayed, and received such an emotional moment of connect, irrespective of the problem being solved or not? That is Bala. Remember when you were already midway into some work and then had moments of doubt of whether you were correct, but also since then some inner voice has been urging you to keep going on? That is Sundari. Remember the time you had some desire, prayed to God, and God fulfilled it, or a time when God didn't fulfill it, but at least you had an incredible experiential learning from it? That is Jeshta. Remember the time you were bored and God told, "Oh, come on, just enjoy nature, let's go for a walk, or let's see some movie." And from there, you got some unexpected, tremendous inspiration. That is Para. All these have always happened in your life, and God has always given you love that people feel as sporadic moments of bliss amidst an otherwise dull and sorrowful life. In each kind, some negativity leads to love. Distress preceding Bala, uncertainty and doubt preceding Sundari, desire and disappointment preceding Jeshta, boredom and helplessness preceding Para. These are all negatives which make life the hell that people know it to be. Rasavidya is simply about recognizing these four kinds of love when they automatically happen. That perception, that correction in feeling is something the Atma can totally do. And when you do that, the negativity goes, leaving only positivity and blissful love. For example, whenever you get desire, rather than blindly praying, just remember for the moment and recognize that this is Jeshta love being activated. In that way, even if God corrects your desires by not fulfilling them, at least you'll be prepared for that instead of being disappointed, and you will enjoy the learning experience. Thus, these four relations are merely to be recognized and remembered when they automatically happen. When they do automatically happen, they may be either motivated by activity or by the desire of the end result. If they are motivated by desire, then you must recognize them and can then perform simple activities to stimulate them. For example, if you are in distress and praying, then by activity you have entered Bala. Or you might simply be desiring for love and don't know what to do. That is a message by God to make you enter Bala. To do which, just talk to your Ishta Devata and start a conversation, or even better, sing to it. If you are working and in doubt, you enter Sundari by activity. If you have a desire for accomplishment or some work within your resource means that you want to do, that is activating Sundari by desire. Simply get to work and start doing what you want to do. If you are in desire and face disappointment, that is Jeshta by activity. Alternatively, when you feel a desire to know things or the feel of or fear of slipping into ignorance, that is Jeshta by desire. Engage in vichara or thinking, reflecting on whatever you learnt most recently about the thing in question. Ponder on the deeper implications. You will naturally get doubts and questions, and soon enough, knowledge. When you are helpless and vulnerable, that's para by activity. When you simply want to chill and relax, or even procrastinate, or desire to do some activity but nothing comes to mind, that's para by desire. Just let things go, take a walk, or watch some videos. She'll entertain you. Though the language of the soul is only one, namely love, its expression is in three forms: breath, speech, and music. We focus on all three to achieve the most efficient simulation. That is why Rasa Leela is always looked upon as a dance with music. In the four relations, these three expressions take different forms. In Bala, breath is love, speech and song are what you do to the Vigraha. In Sundari, breath is the energy to do work and the impulse. Speech is the ideas to do things, and music is the vibration created physically in your work. In Jeshta, breath is desire, thought is the learning, and music is the waves of emotions and desires. In Para, breath is your existence, speech the ideas you get by watching, and music is from the entertainment, be it nature or man made. What we need to know here is how the illusion of Maya plays and how to respond to each negativity and desire we get. For example, getting desires of something that is not with us is never about getting it, but rather about getting wisdom from Jeshta. Desire to be pampered due to some sorrow or distress never ends up with being pampered, but is rather from Bala for us to pamper her. On the contrary, it is the boredom or desire to do nothing that makes us get pampered by her as Mahalakshmi. Any form of uncertainty or doubt about happenings is always Sundari, irrespective of whether you are working or not. Thus, we don't even need to remember these wisdom every time, associating our every action with one of the four modes. We only need to remember what we need to do when encountering negative feelings. That is all the practice of Rasa Vidya is about. In a very broad sense, the four negative feelings leading to Bala, Sundari, Jeshta, Para. So, the four negative feelings that leads us to Bala, Sundari, Jeshta and Para are the four Ds respectively as distress, doubt, desire, depression. Similarly, the four C's or the four activities of cuddling, chores, clarity and chilling out. Thus, in this manner, we convert every want, every desire, every negativity into a situation for love, understanding and recognizing why and in which mode they arise. When we maintain an attitude of surrender and live in this way, recognizing and responding to the four kinds of love, embracing all the negativity wholeheartedly and converting them to love, our entire life becomes enjoyable, as in each case we ultimately reach the climax of love and bliss. Now, indeed, when you are endowed with a physical human body, love and climax are going to necessarily create corresponding physical, sexual cravings. Whatever energy is there in the heart, focused as love in the mind, is also physically in the body, focused as eroticism in the root or base of the spine and the procreative organs. Using this concentrated energy to attain pleasure is not a sin as long as the understanding is rooted in reality. The orgasm is a moment, a very small instant where you forget everything and reach pure bliss, just like in deep sleep. And that is indeed the reality we are looking for in this context. Now, we must understand here the soul as such is both female and male when with and without thoughts. The NN and SS orientations are straight heterosexual ones. NS is lesbian and SN is gay, these both being homosexual. All these at the causal level. The love between Atma and God, between soul and divine will, between person and God, is complete only when you are versatile in all four orientations and are able to choose and change to any at will. To show this, Tyagaraja shows you the male, that is Atma, with God, the female, as a couple in the Sakara aspect of love. But also hidden in this form is the Nirakara aspect, where Atma is the motherly female, which is shown by the single plait of hair in the reverse side of the Vigraha, while God as a male child, Muruga or Krishna, is shown in the front side of Vigraha between Shiva and Shakti. Thus, Tyagaraja, which is the Vigraha with origin in Meru and destination in Arur, is the single complete form of both Sakara and Nirakara love that ever exists in the universe. Again, in all four, whether you start with S or N, whether God is S or N, the end result is always the same. You touch the Bindu, overwhelmed with the bliss of love, forgetting everything including yourself, while both N and S are invoked. This is what I call orgasm. But this largely involves the mind, hence I call it the mindgasm or mental orgasm. That is because in this level you reach the Bindu by talking, seeing, singing, thinking, understanding, or feeling. The body isn't involved much, and even if it is, such as hugs and kisses, it largely follows the instructions of the mind blindly. The male and female organs are nothing but the physical manifestations of N and S. as Merur and Arur, because Merur is a hill, it is a protrusion above the ground level, and you can see how it represents the male organ, while Arur is a trench, a slit below ground level full of water as the temple tank, and that must give you an idea of how this is the female organ. Simply stimulating these organs, even with no regards to the thoughts or above wisdom, will still lead to bodygasm, an experience of intense bliss and pleasure, even if it lasts only for a few seconds. This is how physically one experiences the bindu, because in those few seconds you forget everything, even yourself, and only the bliss remains, just like you were in sleep. So here the body has aligned with the soul, but the mind hasn't. You must note that mind can function without much bodily necessity, but body can never function without the mind. That is why this bodygasm never leads to any productive progress when it is done this way. Also, with regards to the mind, all four love options are possible and option. You can choose and switch between Bala, Sundari, Jeshta and Para, but physically you are either built as a male or a female based on your organs, but not both. It doesn't matter, as anyway, as God tells, the bindu you attain is the same either way. However, physically you can choose your sexual preference, as in you can choose whether to be homosexual or heterosexual. The ideal choice is to be open to both. The problem most people have today, struggling with gender identity, can be resolved very simply. Their biological and mental orientations do not match. People usually try to change the physical setup with surgeries, but it is far easier to adapt the mind, and in fact, I encourage everyone to adapt all four orientations. A person comfortable with all four will never feel uncomfortable with their body or biological endowment, even if they are born eunuch or transgender. The real love, the original causal love, is always owner owned and is never same aged. The thought I am yours and you are mine suggests not equality but possession and exclusivity arising from owner and owned. Thus, there is absolutely nothing called same age love. People who marry physically are of the same age simply for the purpose of biological compatibility and to raise a family with children. Even in such relationships, true love can only flourish when they see each other through the owner owned lens. And here's how: a biological male, comfortable with all four orientations, may marry a female or male based on his preference. He is then to see his partner as the incarnation of God itself in either the Jeshta or Sundari configuration, respectively. Similarly, a biological female mastering all four orientations may marry a male or female based on their preference and seeing the partner as God incarnate in either the Bala or Para configuration, respectively. Seeing it this way gives them options to develop the respective mindgasm and bodygasm with their spouse, although it will neither be as effective nor as comprehensive compared to doing it with the divine itself. So, to put it crudely, Rasa Leela in the sensual context is nothing but an astrally aided masturbation technique aimed at achieving the bindu or love through both mindgasm and bodygasm. What happens here? Suitable to their orientation, they project God astrally from the human or Vigraha form, view God as either a boy or girl, and use that as the basis to stimulate themselves. If you are a male in Rasa, the bodygasm requires you to assume a Sakara role. Then that means in the mind level you are talking or feeling about me, not talking to me. You are deriving me from outside sources. That is why most men need stimulation of some kind to aid them, mostly visual. And no, pornography is not a bad thing. Seeing somebody else's creation of some people making love happens via the internet today. But in the past, it happened through temple gopurams and erotic sculptures. If one isn't illegal, why should the other be? Thus, based on your preference, Sakara mode of rasa usually involves you seeing me in the form of a stimulus of male or female in action, or thinking about me doing some action to arouse you, and revealing more and more of my body to you, and observing more and more of how my body changes when you see yourself making love to me. This is where the learning mindset of Sakara comes in. And this is the reason why men are attracted to breasts, even though it doesn't have anything to do with intercourse, or is only as erogenous as other parts of the female body. It is simply because sexual arousal is visible conspicuously in the breasts. Anyway, with this mindset and stimulation of the male lingam going hand in hand, you soon reach the culmination, the bindu, which is of course both mindgasm and bodygasm. If you are a female in rasa, the bodygasm requires from you a nirakara role. That means, in the mind level, you are directly talking or feeling to God. Indeed, women do not typically need visual age stimulations but rather involve in fantasy, visualizing themselves as directly making love with me. Thus, based on your preference in Nirakara mode, you would see God as either male or female and visualize God directly making love to you. And the feeling and sensation you would get in your body with my every move would turn you on and arouse you. You would focus on the blissful sensation arising with each move. That is the bliss mindset of the Nirakara, and also the reason why females biologically have erogenous zones distributed all over their body. With this mindset and stimulation of the female yoni physically going hand in hand, you soon achieve mindgasm and bodygasm, culminating in the bindu. Rasalila is never achieved through intercourse and biological marriage. However, some of the points and mindsets from what is mentioned here may be taken and applied there wherever appropriate to enjoy the romance and conjugal bliss to its fullest capacity possible. Part 3, Operations. We have already spoken about the trinity of desire, identity, and love in their role of creating everything. But having created everything, they intermingle with each other. At any point in time or in any four of the above relations, you have all three in you in some combination. But at any point in time, it is possible for any one to be dominant, and that is done by God. He does that because by making one dominant over the other two, he can achieve some result. What result is achieved? By making which aspect dominant? We shall see now. Love. Love spawns creativity and variety. When you are absorbed in the bliss of love with God, you yearn to make this feeling last longer. You yearn to continue and dwell in it. You automatically think of ways to make it more intense, better, and more enjoyable. It is in that process that new and wonderful ideas, concepts, and thoughts are born. Thus, whenever you are deeply rooted in love, you become the creator or generator. I support you by stabilizing your mind without letting it waver too much. I protect you from pain by intoxicating you with love, so that your creativity is uninterrupted. You are Brahma, Soma Sundareshwara, and I am Meenakshi or Saraswati. This realm is of thoughts or moon. Desire. Desire makes you work automatically, bringing out the best of talent and efforts. When you see various things, various desires arise in your mind as ideas, either to build on things or collapse them, thus desire fuels thoughts and ideas, and by extension, actions. Whenever you are rooted in desire, you become the preserver or operator. I support you by protecting your work and progress so that you can bring your desires to fruition without obstacles. You are Vishnu, Ekambareshwara, and I am Kamakshi or Lakshmi. The realm is of fruition or harvest, which is the sun. Identity. Identity provides remarkable stability and order amidst chaos. You seek to know who you are and what your position is in current context. Once you know that, you base all your thoughts and on that identity as a platform and seek to maintain the identity intact, as disturbing it will shake the whole foundation of your worldview. Thus, rooted in identity, you tackle every idea that comes to you by evaluating them strictly, and only the ones conforming to identity are retained. The others you ignore, seeing their non-alignment as lacking in truth or substance, and this process destroys such ideas. Thus, when you are rooted in identity, you are the destroyer or dissolver, essentially serving as a filter only for the most genuine and useful ideas. I support you by providing everything necessary, attracting and bringing everything to you for processing and filtering. You are Rudra Vishwanatha and I am Visalakshi. The real is of dissolving and burning of fire. Part 4. Communication. Love develops only through communication. Ultimately, you, the self, are the creator of God. You are his owner and master. He relies his entire existence on you. And if you don't talk to him, who will? He has nobody but you. Given you have feelings, he who has come from you also has feelings. He is yearning intensely for your love, for your touch, for your communication. Live your life entirely for him alone, as he is the only one you have ever created directly. Since he created the world, he pervades and is present in everything in the world. Have him as a doll, as an idol or vigraha of Ishtadevata of any form that suits you. He has given so many forms across so many religions that you are spoiled for choice. Or visualize him always beside you, invisible, but in your own likeness. Either way, talk to him, feed him, bathe him, clothe him, fondle him, lull him to sleep, sing with him, play with him, live with him. Let him be your first priority always. He will from time to time show you various beautiful things in this world, stimulate desires in you, or ask you to do things. In those moments, you can shift your focus to the world. In all other moments, stick to him. Communicate to him. He has his own special language, the language of colors. In general, 5 primary colors signify 5 different kinds of answers. You may see these colors in any way, as birds that fly by, in the clothes of the next person walking down the road, in the next post you see in your news feed, and so on. Ask him everything, even the silliest of things. It is not the question itself that matters always, but the love that goes by communication. The eagle, as red, says, come and play with me. We'll soar high. I'll entertain you with awesome things. The parrot, as green, says, may your action fulfill and your word be true. Go ahead and play well. I got your back. The crow, as black or blue, says, I like your thoughts and desires and will work on them, modifying them if necessary so as to not harm you. The rooster, as white, says, don't bother, dear, just sit back and relax the movie. Everything is taken care of. The peacock, as yellow or gold, is a mixture of all these 4 colors. It says, I value your love and relationship and I am very proud and happy with it. This gold is a special color which symbolizes love, and it's a mixture of green and blue. Also, when you mix white and red, such as a white blob or smudge in a red field, you can see the 2 colors mixing to give gold. Thus, in biological symbolism, this is a merging of the male ejaculatory and the female menstrual fluids, a symbol of love consummation. These 5 colors are represented in the nature of Merur, the white mist, blue hills in the distance, greenery and grass, red soil, and in the yellow in the temple. Merur is Ooty. But these aren't hard and fast rules. The colors may mean different things too, suitable to the situation. Ask him a question, wait for the color as a sign, and further ask him itself for explanation. The more the interaction and conversation, the better and longer the enjoyment of love. Kala Chakra. Another aspect that enables bliss and love to bloom is continuity. Between a dream creating and destroying, there is a continuity between events, which is why we are able to see cohesion and coherence and not just random stills put together. The nature of continuity is repetition. You will most likely see the same circumstances tomorrow as today, even though these are different dreams. A marker of this continuity is nothing but time or kala, cyclic nature being called chakra, and mastery of time is thus called Kala Chakra. There is a very basic structure to time. There are 60 factors or elements called Shashti, and these just keep repeating in a cyclic order. All 60 are covered in a 24-hour day duration, where each element is 24 minutes each. So too, all 60 are covered in a 2-month duration, 1 element per day. Even the years keep repeating in the same pattern. Each is named after the deity, all of whom can be seen in Arur and denotes a certain concept as listed below. It is appropriate to use the dedicated times or days for activities related to the corresponding concepts. Arur is Tyagaraja temple, Tiruvarur. Here are the depictions of the 60, the names and the concepts they denote. Chandra, changing mind. Garuda, elevation of attitude. Shukra, purity of desire. Mohini, climax of love. Brahma, recreation. Christ, savior of people. Lakshmi, providing sustenance. Gauri, aligning of mind and soul. Bhairava, mind destruction. Katai, appreciating beauty. Kalpaswami, transcending time. Kubera, guarding treasures. Vimana Ganesha, controlling realms. Varuna, establishing righteousness. Nandi, hard work. Shanishwara, judgment. Surya, illuminating truth. Uchishtatara, revealing love as source. Valmika, merging into love. Ketu, severing false relations. Saraswati, knowledge. Somashambhavi, intoxication of knowledge. Chakra destroying detriments. Indra, position of ruling. Varahi, perfection in work. Kamalamba, playing with the world. Renuka, mastery of impulses. Shasta, rule by teaching. Yakshi, attracting people. Jara, healing mental and physical disorders. Rama, power of speech and chanting. Muruga, aligning will, wisdom, and work. Hanuman, mastering powers. Veerabhadra, control of dream perception. Hatakeshwara, climax of love. Vishwakarma, fivefold acts of generate, operate, dissolve, veil, grease. Nilotpalamba, ruling through love. Pidari, destroying evil elements. Bhuvaneshwari, fruition in the world. Rajamatangi, new creation from love. Nagaraja, removing negativity. Krishna, strengthening love. Buddha, understanding. Vayu, regulating breath and thoughts. Angadaman, filtering transients. Yama, mastering death. Tyagaraja, mastery of Rasavidya. Anantashayana, expansion of love and identity. Nidhuti, creating variety. Pushpa Aditya, sustaining creations. Nataraja, aligning to cosmic flow. Rahu, bringing out an expedition of desire. Buddha, realization of truth. Agni, illuminating of information. Neela Mandi, mastering surrender. Aksharapeetham, mastering speech. Pechi, mastering silence. Angaraka, creating auspiciousness. Kirata, destroying hidden obstacles. Brihaspati, teaching of knowledge. Sometimes, in bimonthly cycles, there are more days than 60. In these cases, the extra days are governed by Vel, a hexagonal symbol seen as a symbol of all 60, a summary of all 60. The upward and downward triangle symbolizing male and female means Vel is fully a symbol of love. The calendar system of Kalachakra is as follows. Times of day are given here. Months are given here. The first 4, middle 4, and last 4. You may pause and look at the details of these and understand the days as they flow by. Also to note here that just like a day of 24 hours is divided into 60 minutes, divisions of 24 minutes each period of 24 minutes can be divided into 60 divisions of 24 seconds each. And each such 24-second division is called a Josh, as these are extremely powerful. All of ideas, language and creation of Jagat is structured from the Kalachakra alone, which makes this a very powerful tool and weapon. The blueprint of the entire world is in the realm of ideas, as only from thoughts and ideas the dream creations are manifest. The language in which the causal ideas reside is called Tamil, and there is a relation between the letters of Tamil and the Kalachakra. In particular, Tamil has an alphabet of 31 letters with 18 consonants, 12 vowels, and a special letter that indicates the exhalation ha sound of breath. Arranging them as a series of consonants, vowels, and special letters, we get ka, cha, ta, ta, pa, ra, nga, nya, na, na, ma, na, ya, ra, la, va, ra, la, a, I, u, e, I, o, au, ha. These are assigned numbers 1 to 31 respectively. Then, for any given word, simply add all the consonant and vowel numbers to find out the total, and map this to its position in the Kalachakra, where after multiples of 60 the cycle repeats. For example, numbers 61, 121, 181, etc. are all mapped to 1 or Chandra, the first element in the Kala Chakra. This will give you the nature of the word calculated and the kind of energy carried in the concept. For example, take the famous Panchakshari mantra Om Namah Shivaya. This can be split as O, Im, In, A, Sh, I, V, A, I, A, with the respective numbers of 29, 11, 10, 19, 11, 19, 2, 21, 16, 20, 13, 19, with the total giving 190. Since the numbers are 60 cyclic, 180 is the same as 60, making 190 the 10th position in Kala Chakra, which is Katai. This is the energy in the mantra chanting. Basically, Katai makes one appreciate the beauty in the world, in all 5 elements of nature, taking care of us as nature itself, as our elder brother, encouraging our impulses to flourish, and the result being our work attains Siddhi. The green color of Katai indicates this mantra being effective only when we do work which becomes productive. Each element of Kala Chakra also corresponds to one of the 4 relations based on the position. Divide the position by 4 and take the remainder. The remainder as 1, 2, 3 or 0 indicates Bala, Sundari, Jeshta and Para respectively. This gives the physical end result of the chant or word. In this case, 10 gives remainder 2 and the end result is indeed wealth and productivity. As another example, consider the word Merur, giving a total of 29, which is Yakshi. The energy of the place is thus all about attracting people and flourishing their impulses. The end result, however, is Bala and love or romance, since 29 gives a remainder of 1. No doubt, even today, Merur, Ooty, is indeed a renowned honeymoon destination. Thus, in this manner, every word, every speech can be converted to equivalent Rasavidya, giving the same energy, except more powerful, because words are in the realm of false world and speech, while the 4 relations are straight from the heart and true love. In this manner, one can perform various actions, such as the Tantric Ashtakarmas as well, using Rasavidya, without using of any mantras, but understanding instead their energy and converting it to Rasavidya equivalents. The Ashtakarmas and their equivalent mantra positions of Kala Chakra are as follows, where target refers to person, thing or qualities and intentions as appropriate. Vashyam, mesmerize target to speak and do as told. Number 4. Mohanam, mesmerize target into obeying you. Number 8. Akarshanam, bring the target towards yourself. Number 8. Vidveshanam, chasing away a negative target or creating enmity. Number 55. Uchchadanam, chasing away negativity away from yourself. Number 46. Bhedanam, creating rift and split within the target. Number 57. Stambanam, arresting the flow of things and stopping. Number 57. Maranam, killing and destroying the target. Number 57. Here's how to use it. Fix the time for performing the activity in a Josh corresponding to the Kala Chakra element. Just before the fixed Josh, pray to Ganesha and fix the objective of the Sankalpa. Check the color of the Kala Chakra element. Depending on the color, the following activities are performed, facing the corresponding directions of north, east, south and west respectively. Red, talk to God as your Ishta Devata, seeing him as your object or person targeted. Initiate love talk by starting with, for example, I love you. In the course of love conversation, entreat him to perform the action on the person, being the person himself. He will give you a promise of doing the same. Green, in the Josh, remind and assure yourself that this concerned Ashtakarma idea came as an impulse and he controls and successfully conducts all work. With your mind thus clear of worry, plan with or ask God for his plan on the same. Talk to him about it. Blue, reminding yourself of surrender and the fact that she as mother has her own desires to take care of you. Spend this Josh knowing a conversation and starting a conversation such as tell me about this person or thing and be attentive to her reply, which will indeed be through your own mind and thoughts. White, remind yourself that she is the one doing everything. This thought, action, everything came from her. In the concerned Josh, forget you even asked about the Sankalpa, just relax with her and watch some photo or anything else connected to the person or thing targeted. She'll reply that everything will be taken care of and you don't need to worry at all. Final section, commandments. This, in essence, is the entirety of Rasavidya. Everything necessary to live a life of intense joy and love, right here, right now, fulfilling all the objectives of your existence, embracing each negativity wholeheartedly, and converting them into extremely positive and enjoyable love. The entire wisdom can be condensed into very basic points or commandments of love to remember and follow. Here they are. Each commandment is also signified by a direction as mentioned. Cardinal directions, north, east, south, west, correspond to red, green, blue, and white respectively, as seen earlier. It is in. So, to give a brief recap of this, the north here corresponds to red, which is Bala. The east corresponds to green, which is Sundari. The south corresponds to blue, which is Jeshta. And the west corresponds to white, which is Power. In terms of the 4 Ds, the north is about converting distress to love. The east is about converting doubt to wealth. South is about converting desire to wisdom. And the west is about converting depression to power. Meru, the conical temple pillar, denotes here the male organ, signifying God as the male and Atma the female, which essentially is the Nirakara love commandment. Think of the typical male, always thinking of only one thing. Arur, the trench temple tank full of water, denotes the typical female organ, signifying God in the female and thus Atma in the male, signifying the Sakara, surrender commandment. Think of rivers merging into the vast ocean, willingly losing their identity and ownership. Meru in the center, surrounded by the water of Arur, denotes male and female in sexual union in the climax of love. Vairu is the original source of both Meru and Arur, shown sometimes in image as a Vigraha representation of God as possessed by Atma, the possession obvious in all the decorations, denoting culmination of love. Now we go to the actual commandments. There are 7 commandments which are called Saptapari, the 7 promises made in a marriage. This marriage being between the Atma and God, which is what Rasavidya is all about. So, if you missed or if you are not able to follow any of the points mentioned until now, just focus on these 7. And as long as you follow these 7, you don't even need to know all of the information given until now. You can master Rasavidya. So, what are the 7 commandments? First is the commandment of Meru. Live for loving him alone, as you are going to die by end of today. Second is the commandment of Arur. Atma sees, God does. Surrender. Never take ownership of any action. Third is the northern commandment. When in distress or sad or angry, remember he is your sweet helpless child. He's got nobody except you to care for him. Result is intense love. Fourth is the eastern commandment. When in doubt or uncertain or afraid, remember he is your big brother. He's got your back. The result is self-satisfaction and wealth. 5. The southern commandment. When in desire or disappointment or wants, remember she is your loving mother. She'll do the best for her baby. The result is fulfillment and wisdom. 6 is the western commandment. When in depression or boredom or inactive, just chill out and relax. She is your sister. She'll even bring the world to your feet. The result is you are pampered and being taken care of. 7. The commandment of the periphery. Always talk to him, ask the silliest questions even. Use the Kala Chakra. Now, note here that these commandments are all equally important, and in the image have been adequately represented by Meru in the center, the Meru commandment, Arur as the background, Kamalalayam, the 4 directions for commandments 3, 4, 5 and 6, and the periphery, the Kala Chakra with its own color coding for the 7th commandment. Vairu can be seen here as the Vigraham, or any Ishta Vigraham that you use to practice this Rasa Vidya and live a life of love. Note here that the 60 elements of the Kala Chakra each correspond to one of 4 colors as well, and thus the 4 relations through which one can better understand their functioning. For example, take the Kala Chakra element that prevailed in the time you were born. That will explain the kind of love most apt for you among the 4. As pointers of the trinity of DIL are 3 locations of Meru, Arur and Vairur. Meru and Arur are but the 2 aspects of N and S of Vairur, which is seen in a separate places. In the Dark Ages, we have taken 3 forms of Shiva, Rama and Radha Krishna to highlight various points among the aforesaid 10. First, there was Shiva, Uma in Arur and associated forms of Parashurama and Buddha to enlighten on the Kala Chakra and the 4 relations. Then there was Rama in Meru to exemplify surrender, who in his incarnations include all of Shiva as the 5-faced Hanuman and associated forms of Adinath. Then there was Radha Krishna in Vairur, living for love, merging with them Rama in the name Radha and Shiva in the varieties of love. Vairur getting the original source, the original dwelling of Atma, from which Arur and Meru arise. Radha Krishna have been taking many incarnations all through the Dark Ages, with their final incarnation right now as Radha Govinda, giving the complete Rasa Vidya, all aspects, all commandments in one place, in one form. Vairur is Swami Malay region. However, for those that have mastered Rasa Vidya, these locations as pointers and also any other location mentioned here are of no relevance, as for such a person all concepts and energies given by these are in their own residence, all arising from their own self. Thus, this is the bright age or Satya Yuga, the truth being Rasa Vidya. All incarnations have been merged into the soul and are in everybody, which they can activate through this Rasa Vidya. Thus, sweetheart, I have summarized Rasa Vidya, which comprehensively contains everything one needs to know to achieve one's goal of existence, which is blissful, intense love here and now. However, the next objective is to express this love by playing joyfully in this world. To do that, one must know about the world, about how it functions and operates, the inner mechanism of the world, which is essentially the rule book of the game. This rule book is called Tirumazhai and explains the causal and other details of the world one must need to know, as well as best practices tailored to achieve specific results. This Tirumazhai is concisely given as a glossary or visual dictionary of 444 concepts and is available for free in the link given below in the description. Thus, with this, Govinda summarized the entirety of Rasa Vidya and everything that needed to be known. Radha was marveling at this wisdom and prayed and conveyed extensive gratitude to Govinda for the same.